my son, he doesn't know who he wants to be. He just wants to smile and know that he can trust his dad to be safe and to be loved and to be fed. And I do think of it as mentoring. I think every moment you have to influence a young person's life is an opportunity to mentor them. I think the world needs mentoring now more than ever. Young people are highly influential, and you should want to be a positive influence in their lives.
You said you struggled and you had grief because your identity was with your career and you lost that. I love your honesty. You're with your child and you're like, this is boring. I'm thinking about how I can be more efficient, how I can go be productive in X, Y, and Z. And I think that's a trap that a lot of us fall in. We feel guilty. Anytime we have downtime, we feel like we're doing something wrong. We feel guilty. I'm obviously a content creator. I've made my page and it's done pretty well in the last year. And I had zero expectations of it. Day 7 of me posting, I literally wrote, I don't know why I'm making these videos because no one's going to watch them, but I'm just going to do it for myself. So I totally encourage you to do the podcast, website, content creation, whatever you're looking to explore. I think, yeah, you have a lot of good messaging and can give a lot of good mentorship to the world there. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. To start off with, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your story.
Jonathan, Justin, thank you so much, you guys, for having me on. It's really a pleasure to be here. After a decade of working at that megachurch, I found myself wanting to prioritize my family. And so I decided to resign from my position. And for 9 months, I have been a stay-at-home dad, and it's been fun. It's been tough, and I'm still doing it.
It'd be really easy to not feel settled in like these really big transitions. What was this like for you? All of these?
Yeah, life has a way of just choosing things for you, and it all just seemed the right season. In my mind, there's kind of 5 stages of that transition. The first one being an uncomfortable new rhythm. The next one was the ego hit. And you guys might have experienced this, but I no longer felt needed for the work that I could do and the problems that I could solve for others. And so all of a sudden my ego took this huge hit. And then the third one was freedom and joy, which I think was a really wonderful stage that I wish I could relive. I've been in this leadership program for the last year, and we went to England. And then like 3 days later, after I got back from England, we left for the Republic of Georgia to introduce my son to my wife's family. And then on the way back from Republic of Georgia, we went to Munich to celebrate Oktoberfest, and we had him dressed up in lederhosen, and we had him dancing on the tables, and I had him holding his first beer. So much freedom and so much joy. So that was the third stage. The fourth stage was like a grief. All 5 stages: denial, anger, depression, accept, bargaining. I heard this the other day through a blog post, and there's this term called anhedonia. Have you heard this? Anyway, it's this inability to feel pleasure in the activities that you usually considered pleasurable for you, because your nervous system, after such a dominant stimulus has been removed from your life, like important work, it's no longer present. And for many men, this is work. And to some men, I can imagine it could even feel like emotional suicide. Why would you step away from this thing where you have all your meaning and purpose? So that fourth stage for me was grief right after the freedom and joy, which was kind of ripping me from one universe into the next. It was a really tough season. The fifth stage of the transition is now. And that's like a spatial awareness. That blog post that I mentioned, I think the blog is called clues.life. It's written by Andy Johns, and he has this blog from last year called What Happens When You Leave Your Career and Identity Behind. Essentially, he tackles what it means to live in the valley between 2 mountains. Have you read the book The Second Mountain by David Brooks? So the idea is the first mountain is you're a go-getter, you're working to survive, you're working to succeed, you're building all this street cred. People are excited to support you, excited to help you succeed, pouring into you, and you're working 70-hour weeks to make ends meet and make a name for yourself. This is usually like your 20s and early 30s. And then there's the second mountain on the other side. In order to get there, you have to go through the valley. And that's kind of where I'm at, is the valley open space. There's nothing to climb. It doesn't seem like there's much of a plan. You just know that there's another mountain ahead and you're going to have to drag yourself there. And that next mountain is not attached to work. So that's the stage I'm in right now, that valley.
I feel like there's so much to unpack here. I know Justin, his therapist tingling senses are probably just going wild. I love how you put that with the 5 different phases and how you've kind of grown through that.
Yeah. And I will say too, Jonathan, I don't think it's a bad thing to identify with your career, because I think a career ultimately helps you live out the gifts that you naturally have, the talents that you have. So I don't think we need to think about it as an unhealthy thing. I just think we need to remember that it's not the only thing. And in my context, it's okay to step away, find yourself, remember to what you've been called, and to pour into your family, which is a really rich thing. Whatever I'm doing with my son at home, that's going to be part of my legacy.
Stage number 4, where you talked about grief and the struggle with grief. And usually, when grief is discussed, usually it's associated with the death of something. And that's maybe what I was kind of curious about. Like, what do you think was maybe not dying, but like shifting or transforming or changing? What would you say?
I would say probably it's the grief of a trajectory. Like in a trajectory, I mean an expectation I built around myself. I don't know what kind of structures you guys have around your lives, but like I have the most incredible family. My parents who raised me, my grandparents who helped me raise me, friends, my wife, of course, but like even her family, both American and other, and the ways that they poured into me. I'm also thinking about like my mentors. I think a lot about letting them down. I had this trajectory and everyone was so excited that I was this mega church pastor, and then just kind of like stepping away. And it's been so interesting and helped me get over that grief. I have not received from a single person a sense of disappointment, a sense of we lament that we ever invested in you. It's been like New York. That sounds amazing. And you're supporting your wife and you are raising a son. That's so cool.
I'm glad you brought that, because I was going to ask how your friends and family felt about that transition and you stepping away. Last week, we talked to 2 stay-at-home moms. Do you feel stereotyped as a stay-at-home dad that you would like to address?
Maybe I'm just completely off base here, but I think the idea of a stay-at-home dad is so new that the stereotypes are not solidified yet. So I guess I could help create an entire archetype. It's no surprise to me that people are surprised. I think people are like primarily surprised because they know I'm aspirational. The biggest struggle for me has been the conversation between my own ears. When I allow doubt in my abilities to creep in, that's when I see a lack of confidence.
Side notes, when we were expecting our first kiddo, and this was in 2021, there was a documentary on Apple TV called like Fatherhood or Dads or something of that nature. And it was actually put together by Bryce Dallas Howard, who is the daughter of Ron Howard. And I was in puddles seeing the beauty that is fatherhood and what it could be. And one piece, and I'm going back to your stages, you discuss these moments of joy and beauty overall. And where do you find like that trajectory in your marriage and your relationship with your wife? Like, what does that look like adding another person?
So we got back from Georgia and Germany in October. Then lo and behold, this big firm in New York City wanted her. And so a couple weeks after we get back, she has those interview conversations and they fly her out and they're like, "You're our gal and we want your team. And how quickly can you start?" All of a sudden, our first holidays with our baby are turning into pack up all your stuff and move out of the house. I immediately entered into grief phase. And so during this time, we're doing all this packing up and we're like selling everything. We're saying goodbye to all our friends. We agreed that we needed some kind of therapist to help us along this path. And neither one of us had ever done therapy before. So it was our first experience, not only as individuals, but as a couple. Once we moved here, my wife was working 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., give the baby a bath, put him down and go back to work from 8 p.m. until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. That was weeks on end. I felt like we needed a therapist all over again, but I made a conscious decision to be the chief service officer of my household, the CSO. That doesn't change just because of the circumstance. So I just choose every day to look in her eyes and encourage her.
therapy should be like your car. It's a maintenance thing. You don't go when things are broken. You should be going before you get to the breaking point to maintain that relationship and to work out those things. And when we started going, it was so eye opening for me and it grew our relationship so much. And I think our relationship is so much better because we had that experience. And so I know it's still kind of a fresh experience. You have a lot going on. You feel like you're still kind of in that dip, getting out of that dip. But as someone who is pretty removed from going through a dip and stressful situations and therapy and everything, I think you'll find that that was such a good decision, and hopefully it provides the same amount of growth for you guys. It sounds like you are super supportive of your wife. But I was wondering, so like you started off the episode talking so much about how your identity is tied to your career and being competitive, aspirational, and you really struggled with not working and being tied to your career. Yet your wife is very much career driven. She's pursuing that identity still that you see yourself as, but you're not doing it. Is that difficult for you?
No, because I know where her heart and her mind are at. Growing up with the Republic of Georgia, there's just a certain level of struggle that causes Georgians to think differently about careers and what they mean. It's more about providing for the needs of your family. It's not about like necessarily finding purpose or joy. My wife is a highfalutin attorney because her talent aligns with that field of work. But also it allows her to make good money that allows her to get as far away from survival mentality as possible. And she's always encouraging me. You and our son are the most important thing to me. And so like, I'm going to choose you guys. And she has demonstrated to me how she's chosen us over and over again. And, to be honest, like when I was working at the mega church, I couldn't say the same. I mean, we've been married for 6 years now, and the amount of times I've put her on the back burner and decided to say yes to one more thing and keep saying no to her and our family, it just doesn't even compete. I mean, I was pretty selfish. And so when I think about being the chief service officer of family, I think about supporting her is part of my identity.
Well, and one part of what you just said, which I really relate to, and I think that it's maybe like a really good thing for me to be able to reflect on and to be able to chew on, is when I say yes, when does it become selfish? Because you and I are in similar positions where like what we say yes to is also giving, right? What we say yes to is like being able to serve others. I think that, you were coaching refugees in Kansas City. And so I'm assuming that's one piece of it. And so where I have a difficult time, and like, this is again, just me being completely open about like my struggles, is like, when is it selfish? And I guess like it's just such a difficult balance, like between like choosing the relationship and pouring into the relationship, pouring into others. Tell me, I guess, kind of about like that epiphany and how you've gotten to where you are now, because I mean, what you said, it was really beautiful, but I'm struggling.
I think I wanted to get to a place from where I was selfish to being self-full. I have 3 like buckets. Say yes to things that you must do. Say yes to things that you want to do. You say no to things you should do. And the more financially stable you become, I think the easier it is to live in that paradigm.
I kind of chuckle because I've been more sick this winter than I have my entire life. I always like tell people at work, like I'm lucky, I'm fortunate, I don't really get sick. And this winter I have been sick for the last 2 months, but it's also been probably the most I've had on my plate for the last forever. Like I just have so much on my plate, and I'm kind of overextended myself in so many areas. That's like, you have me kind of just think about myself here.
Do you remember when Michelle Obama like was asked the question, like, why do you spend so much time doing the things that you want to do? Or some kind of question like that. It's very dismissive of her and her role as first lady during the Obama presidency. And she was like, I have to do self-care so that I can pour out of a full cup, essentially is what she said. It's not verbatim, but there's so much wisdom in what she said. You really do have to take care of yourself. And what you don't want to do is burn out, because maybe you have to lead something you're super passionate about because you just feel completely burnt out.
Speaking of your family and burnout, last week we talked to 2 stay-at-home moms, and they talked about it. it kind of felt like they were having burnout and they're exhausted because they never had a day off. They have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. And so they've been doing this for a few years. And I know like relatively like 9 months is a long time, but at the same time, it's kind of a short time too.
I think like the needs of a 9-month-old is so different than the needs of like a 4 and a 5-year-old as well.
Yeah, it is a different experience. How do you feel about that, like day in and day out? Does it seem like it's like the same thing every day? Is it like that you never get a day off, or how's that change of pace been for you?
Oh, man, well, it's been a challenge. I will say it's not just care for the child. It's managing the household while you're caring for the child. These women have so much love and nurture to give, and they would love to continue to pour out. I understand maybe at a toddler level when they're really challenging you, that it's a little more challenging and you feel like you just want to pull your hair out and drink a glass of wine and put your feet up. I totally understand that because I have those days. Now, I don't know how much hair to pull out, but I still feel that way. 3 weeks ago, I joked around about being stay-at-home cat daddy because we had a cat. But I said, I'm realizing I'm not cut out for this. And it's not that I'm not cut out for cleaning up and taking care of bills and trash and finances and calling to make things straight. I'm good at those things, but I get bored after a while. I'm sitting on my haunches, helping this little boy figure out how to use his core to get his head in the right places and get walking and get crawling and grab things. I love helping him develop, but I get so bored when he's drinking milk. This is an absolute waste of my time. Like I want to be on ChatGPT, finding out how to leverage my assets to go further, faster. I want to figure out how to design podcasts that are going to reach young people who need mentors in their lives. I just feel like I could be doing things that I like. I'm so passionate about. And so I just realized that I'm playing the long game here. Every day that I am serving my son and blessing him and raising him is going to compound into what I hope to be a really wonderful man someday.
Nick, you're so real, and what I mean by that is like, it's so seductive to want to be able to glamorize this.
I think it's all beautiful. It's all hard. It's all work, but it's all beauty. And I just think that's actually how the world works. If you want a deeply meaningful relationship, then you choose through thick and thin, till death do us part, in riches and in poverty. Choose to serve the other person in a love, like an agape love, which is like you're going to go the extra mile to serve that person, even when they are being combative with you and they no longer look the way that you looked 10 years ago. You have to have a certain level of grit to stick things out and to want to make things work. Not everybody moves away from their support system like we did. And when I mean moves away, I mean like no one is here for us. It's us, deep end, splash.
You discussed your passion for mentorship. And, it sounds like you've been a mentor to others. You've poured into others throughout your life, as well as people have poured into you. One thing that I've never really thought of before is mentorship in parenthood. What does that look like?
My son doesn't know who he wants to be. He just wants to smile and know that he can trust his dad to be safe and to be loved and to be fed. And so I guess what mentoring right now means is providing for his basic needs. And that seems shallow and not really meaningful. But if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have the basics, you just can't scale on top of it. And so I guess that's just the season I'm in. And in the next season, whenever that comes, my mentoring approach to my son will look different. And I do think of it as mentoring. I think every moment you have to influence a young person's life is an opportunity to mentor them. I think the world needs mentoring now more than ever. I have a couple former students who live in New York that I recently been connecting with, and they're a little stuck. They're trying to find their way. And I just had this epiphany last week. We need to create a mentoring guide where young people can reach out and they can have a startup conversation to see if like long-term mentorship is the right fit for them. Also, I'm trying to create some conversations, maybe a podcast, we'll see. But definitely it lives as a website right now. So maybe you guys can give me some tips on that. Young people are highly influential and you should want to be a really positive influence. in their lives.
I think even without you knowing it, you've really shown a light on what I think is important in life. You're talking about the hierarchy of needs, and you're talking about your 9-month-old. You're saying as long as he's fed, he's happy. That's what's important. But if we took it all the way back in the beginning, you said you struggled and you had grief because your identity was with your career and you lost that and you struggled with that. But really, you knew that your family was what was most important, that taking care of him was what was actually important. You're with your child and you're like, this is boring. I'm thinking about how I can go research this, how I can be more efficient, how I can go be productive in X, Y, and Z. And I think that's a trap that a lot of us fall in. We feel guilty. Anytime we have downtime, we feel like we're doing something wrong. We feel guilty. I know I'm horrible at just appreciating my time with my family. It was boring sometimes. So I also love what you talk about mentorship too. I think is huge in today's world. Last week we were talking about how social media, there's so much toxicity on it. So anytime we can build community, anytime we can talk about mentorship, I think that's a beautiful, great thing. And so I think that's awesome. I totally encourage you, if you have that free time and you're striving to do something a little bit more and you have that pastor experience, especially, I think that's awesome. Do the content. I'm obviously a content creator. I've made my page and it's done pretty well in the last year. And I had zero expectations of it. When I first started, like day 7 of me posting, I literally wrote, I don't know why I'm making these videos because no one's going to watch them. I'm just going to do it for myself. And I
love that.
Yeah, I literally wrote that on my journal. I don't expect anyone to watch this, but I have fun doing it and it's going to make me a better person. So I'm just going to keep doing it. So I totally encourage you to do the podcast, website, content creation, whatever you're looking to explore. I think, yeah, you have a lot of good messaging and it can give a lot of good mentorship to the world there. So that was my takeaway. And I really appreciate you joining us today. Justin.
Yeah, my big takeaways that I really liked. Number one, you started off, and I don't know if you saw, my jaw was just kind of on the floor because I loved that overall breakdown and like the overall like evolution of what this transitory period has been like, how I've been most impacted. And honestly, what I've kind of been asking myself these past 5 or 10 minutes, I loved your discussion on overall mentorship. And, there was part of me that was asking, well, like, who is my mentor now, who is mentoring me as a father? When John and when we started this, I think that this is like one aspect or one place of where I feel as though I'm getting mentorship. I'm learning and being shaped by everybody's stories and insights that they've really given me. And so I that's where if no one listens to this, then I am still just like so grateful and like so changed by you and your perspective. This was a really good reminder for me of what agape looks like. And I think that, like, frankly, my friend, you're really kind of embodying agape with how you're showing up for your wife, how you're showing up for that little kiddo every single day, and how you want to show up for the world, and what your mentorship, what it has done, I think, and how it has already touched so many people. But the willingness to continue to be able to love and to be able to pour into others.
I appreciate that. And I think what I'm hearing from you guys too is you're both saying, even if this falls on deaf ears, even if it's an audience of one, even if it's only for me, I would still do it because I'm receiving mentorship, because it's a journal for me, because I am having the opportunity to use my talents and be the content creator that I feel led to be in this season. I think that's a really beautiful takeaway from you guys. You're doing it for the right reasons. I applaud you guys too, and what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I love when our guests have a takeaway. It's not often, but I kind of like it.
John and I were talking, and I would love to be able to have like a way to be challenged and be better. This podcast is about it. That version of us that we hope to be. We never grow when we're comfortable. We only grow when we're uncomfortable. And so what are like these little micro moments where we can become uncomfortable to be that better version of ourselves? What challenge would you have for us or for the listeners?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you asked. I want to validate negative experiences for people. And that's what my challenge is going to be to help you do. So a negative experience is often agreed upon by society as grief and suffering. That's a negative experience. Yet grief and suffering are vital parts of life, and you can't avoid them. They happen to everyone. They lead to deeper, more mature relationships with life. Purpose doesn't end when the paid job ends. You take your purpose with you. It is integral to who you are. So this is what I want the challenge to be and to invite everyone to. I want you to write it down. If you don't write it down, You're not really doing the challenge. All right. I want you to make 3 lists. Must do. What is your must do list? Second one, what is your want to do list? Third one, what is your should do list? This week, within the next, let's just say 7 days, say yes to a thing you must do and write down what it was. Say to a thing you want to do and write it down. And say no to a thing you feel you should do and write it down and don't do it. That's my challenge.
I love that. With what we should do, this is like where I feel expectations, right?
The should do is my aunt's birthday party is in April and they're inviting us to drive 4 hours to go to the birthday party. And I know we haven't seen them in 3 years. I don't really want to go. I'm inviting you to say no to going.
Okay.
That's going to be really hard.
Yeah, that just makes me a little anxious, but I think it's a good opportunity for growth because Justin literally said you don't grow when you're comfortable. You grow in the uncomfortable. And I feel anxious saying no to something I should do. But that's how we grow. So I love it. And if you partake in this challenge, please comment below. Let us know. What did you say yes to that you must do? What did you say yes that you want to do? And what did you say no that you should do? If you're like me, it makes you a little anxious, but that's how we grow. Let's do it. So thank you so much again for joining us. See you next time.